Hello, and welcome. In the grand, intricate tapestry of existence, there is one thread that connects every living thing, from the smallest insect to the largest mammal. It is the final, inevitable conclusion to the story of life. It is, of course, death. This is a subject that can often feel unsettling, shrouded in mystery and fear. Yet it is also a fundamental natural process, a transformation as old as life itself. To understand it is not to be morbid, but to gain a deeper appreciation for the delicate balance of our world and the cycle that governs all of us. Today, we're exploring the 6 stages of death. We will embark on a quiet, respectful journey, looking not at the emotional or spiritual aspects, but at the purely biological and physical processes that unfold when a life has ended. This is the story of the body's return to the earth, a remarkable and orderly sequence of events orchestrated by nature. By observing this final chapter with a calm and educational perspective, we can demystify the process and perhaps find a different kind of understanding in its profound, silent mechanisms. Our exploration will take us through 6 distinct phases, each with its own name and unique characteristics. From the very first moments after the heart ceases to beat, to the final return of organic matter to the environment, we will see how the body undergoes a series of predictable changes. This is the ultimate act of recycling in the natural world, a journey that ensures that even in its end, life contributes to the beginning of new life. So, let us begin this quiet exploration together. The journey begins almost immediately, in the very first moments after the cessation of life. This initial stage is known as pallor mortis, a Latin term meaning quite simply the paleness of death. It is a gentle, yet profound visual cue that the great engine of the body, the circulatory system, has fallen silent. The heart, which for a lifetime has tirelessly pumped vibrant, oxygen-rich blood to every extremity, has now ceased its rhythmic duty. Without this constant pressure and flow, the intricate network of capillaries just beneath the skin's surface begins to empty. As the blood drains away from these superficial vessels, drawn downwards by the first subtle pull of gravity, the skin begins to lose its familiar living hue. The warm pinks and rosy tones that signify vitality and health start to recede, replaced by an increasing and noticeable paleness. This process is particularly swift and apparent in individuals with lighter complexions, often becoming visible within just 15 to 25 minutes after death. It is the body's first quiet announcement that its internal river has stopped flowing, the first step in its long and gradual return to the elements from which it was formed. This fading of color is not a sign of decay, but rather a simple and elegant consequence of physics. It is a silent marker used by forensic experts to help estimate the time of death, though its usefulness is limited to the very early moments of this journey. Pallor mortis is the quiet visual prelude to the more dramatic changes that are yet to come. It is the first stroke of a new and different kind of portrait. One where the vibrant canvas of life begins to transform into the serene, still tableau of what lies beyond. Following the initial paleness, the next stage commences, a process driven by the fundamental laws of thermodynamics. This is algor mortis, the coldness of death. Throughout life, our bodies are remarkable furnaces, constantly generating heat through metabolic processes to maintain a stable internal temperature, typically around 37 degrees Celsius or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. This warmth is a signature of life, a constant battle against the ambient temperature of our surroundings. But when life ceases, this internal furnace is extinguished and the battle is over. The body, now inert, can no longer produce its own heat. It begins a slow, predictable process of cooling, gradually releasing its stored warmth into the surrounding environment. It seeks equilibrium. If the air is cooler than the body, which it almost always is, the body will cool down. If, in a rare scenario like a desert, the air is hotter, the body will warm up. But typically, this stage is defined by a steady drop in temperature, at a rate of roughly 0.8 degrees Celsius, or 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit, per hour, for the first 12 hours. This rate of cooling is not always constant. It is influenced by a multitude of factors. The amount of clothing on the body, the individual's body fat percentage, the ambient air temperature, and whether the body is exposed to wind or submerged in water, all of these variables can speed up or slow down the process of algor mortis. For forensic investigators, this cooling curve is a crucial tool, another clock that can help pinpoint the time of death with greater accuracy than paleness alone. It is the body's slow surrender to the temperature of its final resting place, a quiet and chilling descent into thermal stillness. As the body continues its cold descent, a new and perhaps the most widely known transformation begins to take hold. This is rigor mortis, the stiffness of death. It is a peculiar and temporary state of muscular rigidity that seems paradoxically to lock the body in a final powerful pose. This stiffening is not an act of strength, but rather a complex chemical event occurring at the microscopic level within the muscle fibers. In a living body, muscles contract and relax through a chemical process involving two key molecules, adenosine triphosphate or ATP and calcium. ATP is the energy currency of our cells. It is required to allow muscle fibers to release after they have contracted. When we die, our cells stop producing ATP. The existing reserves are quickly depleted. At the same time, the membranes of the muscle cells become more permeable to calcium ions, which flood into the cells and trigger a sustained muscle contraction. Without any ATP left to power the release mechanism, the muscle fibers, the actin and myosin filaments, become locked together in a contracted state. The result is a progressive stiffening of the entire body. This process typically begins within 2 to 6 hours after death, starting in the smaller muscles of the face and jaw, and gradually spreading to the larger muscle groups throughout the body. The body becomes completely rigid at around 12 hours, a state it will maintain for a day or two. Then, as the muscle tissues themselves begin to decompose, the bonds are broken, and the stiffness subsides in the same order it appeared. Rigor mortis is a transient state of firmness, a chemical bridge between the suppleness of life and the eventual return to softness through decomposition. While stiffness takes hold, another more colorful process is also unfolding. This stage is known as livor mortis, the bluish color of death, or more descriptively post-mortem lividity. With the heart no longer pumping, the blood within the now stagnant vessels is subject to a single, relentless force: gravity. The red blood cells, being the heaviest components of the blood, begin to sink through the plasma and settle in the capillaries and small veins of the lowest lying parts of the body, those parts closest to the ground. This pooling of blood creates a distinct and noticeable discoloration of the skin. It appears as a purplish-red stain, almost like a dark, extensive bruise. If an individual has died lying on their back, this lividity will be most apparent on the back, the buttocks, and the back of the legs. The areas of the body that are pressed firmly against a surface, however, will remain pale. The pressure from the ground or an object will compress the capillaries in those areas, preventing the blood from settling there. These pale patches stand in stark contrast to the surrounding discoloration. Livor mortis begins to become visible within an hour or two of death and is typically fixed after about 8 to 12 hours. In the early stages, if the body is moved, the blood can resettle in the new lowest point. But once it becomes fixed, the pattern of lividity is permanent. This makes livor mortis an invaluable clue for forensic teams. It not only helps to estimate the time of death, but, crucially, it can tell them if a body has been moved after death. It is a silent gravitational map, painting a final, truthful picture of the body's position in its first hours of stillness. Once the initial, relatively passive stages have passed, the body enters a far more active and transformative phase. This is decomposition, the process by which the complex organic structures of the body are broken down into their simpler components. This is not an ending, but a vital part of the great cycle of nature. The process is driven by two main forces: autolysis or self-digestion from within, and putrefaction, the breakdown of tissues by bacteria. It is the ultimate act of recycling, orchestrated by a microscopic army. The process begins from the inside out. As cells die, they release their own digestive enzymes, which begin to break down the surrounding tissues in a process called autolysis. Simultaneously, the vast colonies of bacteria that lived harmlessly within our digestive tract during life are now freed from the confines of the immune system. They begin to multiply and spread, feeding on the body's tissues. This bacterial action, known as putrefaction, produces gases like hydrogen sulfide, methane, and ammonia, which cause the body to bloat and produce the characteristic odors of decay. The speed and nature of decomposition are heavily influenced by the environment. Temperature is the most critical factor. Warmth accelerates bacterial activity, while cold slows it down dramatically. The presence of insects, such as blowflies, can also drastically speed up the process, as their larvae consume the soft tissues. Scavenging animals, too, play their part in this grand redistribution of nutrients. Decomposition is the intricate and essential mechanism by which the building blocks of one life are returned to the ecosystem, ready to be used to build new life. It is nature ensuring that nothing is wasted. The final stage in this journey of physical transformation is skeletonization. This is the point at which the processes of decomposition have concluded their work on the soft tissues. The skin, muscles, and organs have all been broken down and recycled back into the environment by bacteria, insects, and scavengers. What remains is the body's most durable and enduring framework, the skeleton. This stage represents the end of the biological processes of decay and the beginning of a much longer geological timescale of existence. The time it takes to reach skeletonization can vary enormously, from a few weeks in a hot, humid environment with high insect activity, to many years or even centuries in conditions that inhibit decomposition, such as extreme cold, dryness, or burial in an anaerobic bog. Once exposed, the bones themselves are not immune to the effects of the environment. They are bleached by the sun, eroded by wind and water, and gnawed upon by rodents seeking calcium. Over immense periods they too will eventually break down and turn to dust. Yet the skeleton is a remarkable record of a life lived. It can tell forensic anthropologists about an individual's age, sex, stature, and ancestry. It can reveal evidence of past injuries, diseases, and even diet. In this way, the skeleton becomes a final, silent testament, a story written in bone that can be read long after all other traces of the individual have vanished. It is the last remnant of a complex biological organism, a stark and beautiful structure that stands as the final punctuation mark at the end of a life's long sentence. And so our quiet journey through the physical stages of death comes to a close. We have seen how, even after life has ended, the body continues on a remarkable and orderly path of transformation. From the initial fading of color and pallor mortis, to the enduring framework left by skeletonization, each stage is a testament to the unyielding laws of biology and physics. This is not a story of horror, but one of profound natural order. Understanding these stages helps us appreciate the natural process of life and death, stripping away the unknown and replacing it with a quiet comprehension of the cycle. This process is the ultimate expression of nature's efficiency, where every ending is intrinsically linked to a new beginning. The elements that once formed a complex living being are meticulously broken down and returned to the earth, providing the nutrients for new plants to grow, which in turn will feed new animals. It is a powerful reminder that all life on our planet is interconnected, woven together in a vast, continuous loop. In death, there is a final great act of giving back, ensuring the continuation of the great web of life. I hope this exploration has been insightful and has provided a new perspective on a subject that touches us all. It is by looking closely and calmly at the world around us, and indeed within us, that we can foster a deeper connection to the magnificent systems that govern our existence. If you found this journey valuable and wish to explore more of the wonders of our world, please consider subscribing for more educational content. Thank you for joining me.